Yes. Good morning. I call to order the meeting of the Board of Directors of Butte Irrigation District for Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. Mr. Esslinger, would you please give us the invitation?
Father, I thank you for this day and ask that you be with this board of directors of the EBID as they make very important decisions in the coming months. Enable them to work through all the litigation they are faced with, as well as a short water season. I pray for your wisdom, knowledge to guide them and lead them in every decision they make in this board meeting today. I pray for rain to come. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Dr. Chris, please pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. If you would please admit all of the folks in the waiting room. Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is the introduction of the guests. Dr. Shikavin, so since you're standing up, we'll start with you.
Larry Shikavin, flat rate. Bruce Foley, small farmer. Nelson Perez, small. Alfred Brawl, Office of the State Engineer.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Franjoy, would you please announce those that are present online?
Yes, we have AJ Carlson, JR Hennessy, T. Dion, Kaylin Owens, Christina Hernandez, Delise, F. Barunda, Ina Alvaro, Jay Astorga, James Narvaez, Phil King, Scott Gamboa, Cheryl Smith, and Stephen Hernandez.
Thank you very much. And would you please mute the three individuals that are currently unmuted? That brings us to the approval of minutes. We have in our board packet the minutes for the meeting of March 26th, 2025. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Director Glacial.
Trying to find it, I looked through them already. I believe it does not mention that Josh Smith was at the meeting. I think you were here, weren't you, Josh?
No, he was
My
on.
mistake. Okay, thank you. I thought it, thank you, that's it.
Thank you very much. Any other corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes. Second.
I have a motion from Director Colquitt, seconded by Director Ludwig, to approve the minutes of March 26, 2025 as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? In the opinion of the president, the ayes have it. The motion passes unanimously. That brings us to the calendar of events. Mr. Smith.
President, on our calendar of events, you don't actually have a calendar, but we have set dates for our growers meetings for the 2025 irrigation season. The North meeting will be Monday, May 19th at the Patch Community Center, beginning at 8 a.m. That afternoon, we'll have a meeting here beginning at 2 p.m. Tuesday, the 20th, we'll have the South meeting at the Anthony Country Club at 8. The other date I have is our next board meeting, which is on the 23rd of April.
Very good. I will note for the board meeting of the 23rd of April, there is a planned mediation session on the 22nd of April in Denver. We likely have folks that need to travel to that, myself included. My expectation right now is that we will be back in time for that board meeting. It is possible that those attending that meeting will not be back in time to attend the meeting physically. Director Roverosa.
Mr. President, I will not be here for that meeting. I will be out of the country. And there is a likelihood that Mr. Sloan will also not be here for that.
Okay, thank you very much. Director Colquitt.
I too will not be at that meeting.
Okay. Well, hopefully we will have a quorum at that
Well, so is
meeting.
there any point in having a meeting?
Presumably, yes. So one of the principal things we discussed at the second board meeting of the month is whatever closed session items. Given that there's a mediation session the day before in Texas, New Mexico, I expect that a briefing of the board will be warranted. We will plan to have the meeting, and if we don't have a quorum, then we won't.
I might be able to do Zoom.
Okay. So given that we're traveling the day before, several of us may be present by Zoom because it's just not possible to physically get here.
Yes.
I will be traveling back in a boat from the middle of the Pacific, so I may also have internet connection, might be able to do it.
Okay.
I won't have anything to do that.
So of note for those in the public, we are expecting to have a meeting on the 23rd of April. I'm not expecting any significant open session business for that meeting. And we may have a significant portion of our board that's not physically present. Anything else, Mr. Smith? For the moment? That brings us to water resources. Good morning, Dr. King.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Let me get situated here.
So let's see if you can
Okay, is my screen showing okay?
disable Pete's camera if you're able to do that. Yes, it is.
Okay. Oops, okay. Excuse me. Okay, I'll get through this pretty quickly today. This is where we stand, about 300,000 acre feet in project storage, which puts us not in the worst of years, but in a pretty a bad year in terms of water supply. San Juan Chama water, that again is my best estimate. On the Rio Grande compact credit, I'm sure there won't be any credit water for New Mexico. Colorado may wind up having a little bit in there, a few hundred acre feet typically if it is positive. But we won't know that until the compact meeting. That leaves us with 293,000 total storage. We're planning on leaving 10,000 behind in Elephant Butte and 12,000 in Caballo. So there's a total of 22,000 that we can't release. So we're looking at 271,000 for the seasonal supply. That's pretty close to 2022. 2022 followed a worse year. 2021 was worse than 2024. So we'll be following a little better year, but still we're down there, in the pretty low end of things. Elephant Butte net inflow is averaging about 100 acre feet a day. Basically, inflow to Elephant Butte is about done. And I do not expect anything of any significance between now and October 31st. So we may get a flash of a monsoon coming in, but as far as spring runoff, which is really our bread and butter, it's over. This is what the river gauges are looking like upstream. You'll see Otoe. The yellow line is the median daily flow at Otoe. You'll notice that it starts to go up at this time of year as the spring runoff kicks in. We are basically flattening out. There's this odd little peak here from that little bit of precipitation we had last week. And then it is dropping, and I expect it to continue dropping. Similarly at Albuquerque, tend to go up with the spring runoff, nothing happening. And down here at San Marcial, I don't know if you can see there's a break in the data here, but then we're down here about 40 CFS at this point. So expect a a dry river at San Marcial very soon, and the dry river advancing north, probably up into Albuquerque this summer. This is what our precipitation looks like. The snow water equivalent is getting less and less relevant. This is probably the last time this calendar year, we will talk about snowpack, but you see it's well below average up and down the river. Total precipitation is down a little bit from last month in that it's been dry, even with the little bit of precipitation we had come through last week. We were drier than normal for the last week or for the last month, and we remain dry overall. Looking at the Rio Grande Basin, there's the upper Rio Grande, the Rio Grande headwaters, upper Rio Grande and Rio Grande Elephant Butte. The Rio Grande Caballo Reach, which is down here, is finished in terms of snowpack, but you see 63%, 36%, 26% of average snowpack for this time of year. So not a good snowpack year. And you see that with the snowpack trajectories. These are those little storms we had to go through that gave us a little bit of a bump further north. I expect a quick meltdown starting from here. So the red line you see here is the minimum of the last 30 years for each day. Here in the upper Rio Grande, you see we set new minimums for several days here this year. And the same in the Rio Grande Elephant Butte Reach. This is a really, really bad snow season. And whenever you start setting averaging period lows, you know things are going badly. As I say, this is probably the last time this calendar year we will look at these, but we'll pick it up again when we get to October, November, December, looking at the 2026 snow year. Our precipitation, same old, below average throughout the watershed, temperatures above average throughout the watershed. This is for the month of April, issued March 31st, so it's relatively current. And the 3-month outlooks, well, they're a little older forecasts are similar in what they're predicting. This is interesting. This is the spring runoff forecast. Excuse me. The spring runoff forecast for Otoe and San Marcial. This is the forecast that was made based on April 1st conditions. So this is the latest forecast. And you'll see that Otoe has a 50% chance of getting 126,000 acre feet in April through July. I'm not doing March through July here because March is already finished, so April through July. And you'll notice that is 27% of the median. San Marcial is forecast to get negative 22,000 acre feet flow. And that negative may be a bit confusing because it doesn't make any hydrologic sense. But what that basically means is forget it. Don't count on anything. And that's, looking at Elephant Butte dying off right now, Elephant Butte inflow dying off right now, that's pretty much taken for granted. So it's a bleak water year. It's definitely one of the bad ones, not the worst we've seen in terms of snowpack, but it is a bad one. And we're going to see a zero inflow to Elephant Butte for most of our spring runoff period. Looking at the drought monitor, basically, this is kind of deja vu all over again, watching the drought conditions consume the state. You see that now New Mexico is all in some level, with the northeast corner up here only abnormally dry, but not, I do not doubt that that will be in severe drought within the next couple of months. Looking at the seasonal forecast, again, the creeping brown has taken over almost the entire state. It will, I'm sure that in the coming months, they'll extend that to the rest of New Mexico and the Rio Grande watershed. So in summary, we've picked up 166,000 acre feet since the water year began October 31st. Sorry, since the accounting water year started October 31st. That is pretty much all we're going to get for this spring runoff, which in hydrologic terms is a god-awful spring runoff. We're at 14% of capacity in Elephant Butte, and I see nothing to stop us from going to what could be a record low going back to perhaps the 1970s in Elephant Butte by the end of the season. Our snow season is pretty much finishing. Elephant Butte runoff is really about done. And what I will propose is that at the May meeting, and Mr. Chairman, this may create some complexities. We will need to set an allotment. Then we'll have an allocation and allotment. We'll have an allocation by that time. So we would be in a position to do an allotment. I think it will be our initial allotment and our final. And one thing that is firming up is a release date of March 30th. The reason we would do March 30th is that's a Friday. And that means the water will be arriving at El Paso on a Monday. So we basically use the weekend to fill the river. We're leaning, I'm getting the conversation going with James and with EP1 here. We've got to be very cautious here because whatever allotment we set here at the beginning, we're not going to get any help from new runoff. So we've got to be conservative here and make sure it's something that we can without fail deliver on, and not get into the dead pools in the reservoirs or anything like that. We're leaning, I think, towards 6 inches, but we will do a little bit of, comparison with previous years and really put some analysis into that now that we know what the season is really shaped like. And we'll have a recommendation for you at the May meeting. So I hope we have a quorum there to set an allotment. And with that, I would open up for any questions.
Thank you, Dr. King. Director Cole. Dr. King, how are you?
Good. How's about you?
Man, you got any more good news for us?
Fresh out.
Oh, well, that's all right. Hey, recently in Santa Fe, it snowed maybe 6 inches, 12 inches. They were calling for what, 3 feet? And they didn't get the 3 feet, but they got some snow, right?
Yeah, that was that little bump that you saw in the snow charts.
Okay. Okay.
That little bump right there.
Right, tail. Man. All right. And that won't increase the inflows to the reservoir, into the reservoir?
The inflow to the reservoir is sitting at about 100. It's not going to make it to the reservoir.
Okay, too little. All right.
MRGCD has come on, and the river is just waning in general. So we won't see that hit the reservoir.
And what's a dead pool in the reservoir? You mentioned that. What are dead pools?
Okay, well, the dead pool is from an engineering standpoint, it's the storage in the reservoir that is below the invert of the outlet gates. So it's water you can't release. It's below the outlet.
The sump.
In our case, Elephant Butte in particular has very little dead storage. So we have a minimum pool that we maintain there of 10,000 acre feet. And that is to prevent fish kill.
Mhm.
And that isn't quite down to physical dead storage, but we treat it as dead storage because we don't want to release it.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Director Polk. Thanks, Dr. King. Any other questions for Dr. King? Dr. King, I am expecting that we will have a quorum at the May board meeting. It's the second board meeting in April that we were discussing being
okay.
short of board members for.
Gotcha.
There was some chatter during your presentation that there's also discussion that perhaps the 25th of May is when the gates are going to be opening. I will note that there is an ops meeting Friday with Reclamation, where I would assume they will be laying out their plans for when Elephant Butte opens, when Caballo opens, and when they're expecting to start diversions at American Dam.
I believe
meeting's over.
Mr. Chairman, I believe the Bureau sets that when the districts call for it.
Okay, thank you.
And we're migrating towards April or May 30.
So that May 25th date is likely a release from Elephant Butte, start staging the water.
Oh, I would think they would be releasing a little before that
Okay,
from Elephant Butte.
Dr. King, the ops plan meeting on Friday, do you know if that's open to the public?
I'm sure it is.
Is there any members of the public that are interested in what Reclamation is doing for their planned releases from Elephant Butte and from Caballo, as well as their expectations of reservoir levels for the season? That will likely be discussed at their operation planning meeting on Friday at 2 p.m.
Mr. Chairman, have we got anybody from Reclamation on?
We don't see anybody, Dr. King.
Okay, let me check on that public access. I think that is open to the public, and once in a while we have public people showing up. But I'll get the information on it to who should I send the information to?
Send it to me, Bill.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Dr. King. Mr. Narvaez.
Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to jump in with what Dr. King was showing on his report and give you guys just a quick glance. Of course, we haven't said anything in stone or anything, but I wanted to give you what it looked like for about the 5 or 6 inch allotment. Let me just give you a quick screen view of that if I could. Does everybody see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, there it is. Everybody sees that?
Yes, we do.
It's a yellow bar and everything across that. Okay. Well, I went ahead and just put the numbers here that we're kind of looking at. We haven't finalized anything, of course, but using our standard number, what we kind of base our allotment based off of is 55% efficiency, anywhere between 4 and 6 inches. We're looking at about, if we have a start date of June 1st, ending on July 9th. The course, the 5 to 6 splitting hairs are between June 1st and July 3rd. The difference comes if you do only a 4 inch, that's significant. We'll probably get close to the end of June, actually a 30-day run. So it ranges from 30 days to about 37 days, somewhere around there. So that's just to give you something to think about if where we end up. The other key thing that we need to note is just what Dr. King has showed, that if we do release on May 30th, allowing that water to move all the way down to where it needs to get, because we're comparing this to 2022, and when 2022 happened, it was a big stink with everybody because we were following normal operations, but the river wasn't cooperating and actually took more water since it was very dry. So we released, say on the 31st, but we actually didn't get water down to, on the southern side, west side, east side until like June 6th or 7th. So we'll need to start planning real closely. That'll be an operations things, obviously. How do we make sure that we do get the water where we need it at what time and what day? But just to throw that out there, that's something that we'll be discussing and making sure that we get that part nailed out correctly. So, but that's just, I just wanted to show you what we're looking at here. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions from the board for Mr. Nevice? Thank you very much. So in summary, we're going to have an approximately 5 to 6 week season with expected water deliveries sometime around the 1st of June. That first week in June is when we expect water deliveries to begin. We will set an allotment at our we will set an allotment at our May board meeting, immediately following which we will have our grower meetings to inform our growers of the allotment, the release date, and the expected season length. Mr. Sloan.
Does anybody know what EP1 is gonna do? Right now, they're based agreement with.
What was the question?
What is EP1's current plan for releasing and receiving water?
They're on board with us.
Yeah, they're on board with the May 30.
How long is their run gonna last?
Do you know how long they're going to be in the river, James or Dr. King?
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
Dr.
James.
King. Probably they're gonna get through the July month of July. Depends on where they end up. I haven't seen any of their numbers, but if we're all tracking about the same, that's usually what happened in 2022. They got through the end of July. We're talking about the first week of July, and they got to the end of July.
Thank you, James.
Yes.
Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you very much, Dr. King. Thank you, Mr. Narvaez. That brings us to our general administration on our agenda. Ms. Byron.
I have a very short list. Oh, not that again, huh?
Mr. Franjoy.
I was just gonna state, next board meeting, we should be giving our first budget adjustment for this year, as well as a full financial kind of overview of the district for Q1.
Thank you very much. And it is still the plan to do a quarterly budget adjustment, is that correct?
Correct, except it's looking more like semi-annual right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Byron.
So your cash balances as of Friday, we still have a good amount of cash in our investments. And you'll see there's a large difference between the bank and the book. What that means is that we have quite a few outstanding checks because we've been running checks later in the week. We're still ahead compared to last year. We had no unusual transactions. And we're up to about 90% of our assessment collections.
Any questions on the cash flow report from Ms. Byron? Thank you. Ms. Francois, is there anything else in the general administration?
Nope. That was it this time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Smith, manager's update.
some upcoming dates. Next week, the 14th to the 16th is actually the New Mexico Water Leaders Workshop in Silver City. Apparently the dates for registering for that passed, but our lobbyist, Sky, is going to attend that on our behalf, and she'll report back to us what she learns at that conference. And then at the end of this month is the NWRA Policy Conference in Washington, D.C. And I believe we discussed this at the Government Affairs Committee the other day. Do you want to address NWRA now?
I believe it's appropriate.
I believe previously at a board meeting, we had approved attendance for staff and board members. And I don't want to speak out of turn, but the Government Affairs Committee has decided we have too many other issues at this time to attend that conference. And we'll be foregoing the NWRA Policy Conference in DC this month.
So on that, there was a question of whether any board members had already committed to attending and were planning to attend that we were disrupting by canceling that. I'm not seeing anyone raising their hand saying they were certainly looking forward to lobbying in DC. So we will not be attending the NWRA conference. We likely will have a lobbying trip to DC later in the year. Mostly dependent on how much travel we're having to do for Texas to New Mexico.
I did speak with Dylan and Chris Pauley about scheduling for this event, and they said, and I let them know we likely weren't attending. They said whenever we're ready, and it's more convenient for the board to have to schedule all the meetings that we need at DC. So. Next item is the Texas versus New Mexico mediation coming up April 22nd. You've already addressed that.
Do we have, has the venue been confirmed on that? And are we able to do day travel?
I believe it's the hotel in the airport or at the airport. Is that right, Brian?
That's my understanding.
And everybody I've talked to is planning to fly up and back the same day. There's currently on Southwest a 5:45 a.m. flight that gets there at like 8 in the morning.
We do have, Josh, if you're right, we do have an order on that, so I will, I didn't realize you didn't have it. I would like to, I'll send it to you guys. Who should I send it to?
Send it to me and I will circulate.
Okay, perfect. All right, sorry for interrupting.
No, that's perfect. Thank you, DL. Mr. Smith.
So I believe we've already authorized attendance at these intermittent mediation sessions, so I don't think any action is required, but we will need to coordinate air travel for everyone. And then finally, a legal update, just briefly. Since the mediation in Pittsburgh, the parties have been attending mediation in person every 3 weeks. They had one in Albuquerque, one in Santa Fe, now we're going to Denver. Parties and the amici, the districts, everybody are working very diligently towards a settlement. I think we have at least a meeting every day. So after April 22nd, we'll have a much better idea, I think, where things are headed. But right now, everybody is just trying to get this put together and brought to completion. So keep our fingers crossed and hopefully have a better update for you next month or next meeting. As far as my report goes, that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. That brings us to engineering and maintenance. Oh, I'm sorry, first, are there any questions from the board for Mr. Smith? Very done. That brings us to engineering and maintenance. Mr. Gamboa?
Yes, sir. For engineering maintenance, currently there's no update. We're continuing with all the projects as discussed in the last meeting. And that's what we have.
Very good. Thank you very much. That brings us to the consent agenda. So we have 7 special use permits on the consent agenda. Are there any of those that a board member would wish to act on separately? or your
I
report.
have
on
a question, Mr. President.
Mr. Glazer,
What is black calyx?
I don't know the answer to that. They are requesting waiver of their fees, if I remember correctly. I'm assuming it is an ag LLC. Mr. Gamboa, do you have any information on?
No, you're correct. I would have to bring the licenses to see if there was actually a name attached to that, what the company is, their black out.
Do you have any further questions on it, Mr. Placer? Thank you very much. Any other questions or anything else that would like to be pulled from the consent agenda to be acted on separately?
Are we gonna act on blacktop separately?
No, he simply asked who they were. He didn't ask to have it pulled.
Do we want to make sure that they are an ag corporation?
That is within the discretion of the.
Okay, I would like to act on black cow separately.
Very good. So there's been a request to pull permit 2025-L-029 and 030.
Mr. President,
Mr. Lutz,
if I may, just did a quick search for black calyx.
because we pulled it from the consent agenda, we'll, if we can, we'll address it when it comes.
Understood.
Thank you. Anything else which wishes to be pulled from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I will accept a motion to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda.
Motion so made.
I have a motion from Director Glacial, seconded by Director Garai, to approve the consent agenda, having pulled the two permits for black calyx from the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, discussion is closed. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? In the opinion of the president, the ayes have it. The motion passes unanimously. Mr. Gamboa, would you please give us a presentation on permits 2025-L-029 and 030?
I can, I'll have to bring up that information from the licenses.
Sure.
What you see in your, I believe it's in your packets, there are the two licenses, correct?
Yes.
So that's the information we have. I'll have to look back at the application to see exactly who did submit that, and I can get you the information that you're asking about.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lutz, you had a comment.
I did, and I'm logging into New Mexico Secretary of State. Just a general search indicates contacts of records for the organization, Daniel Minutia, who I've had some dealings with. I don't know him as agriculturally related, but potentially. And then Michael Coronado, who's a contractor in town. His brother is a lawyer in town, Josh McNeil. And it looks like it was formed by South Sados Law Firm. I'm going to get a little bit more information. I apologize, I'm getting on the Secretary of State website now.
Mr. Gamboa, having looked at the maps for those, they appear to be adjacent to ag property from the aerial satellite imagery.
That's correct. They're existing culverts.
Very good. Yeah, and it looks like they were originally applied for in 2008.
Yes, so it was expired permit and
The 2008 permit, were those renewal permits or was that their initial installation?
I believe that was the initial one, and then just what we're talking about now is the new.
Thank you.
And Mr. President, if I may, the manager is Daniel Minutia. The address is 2030-65 Burke Road. Michael Coronado is a member. There's one Guy LLC, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, LLC that's a member. It was formed in 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Lutz. Mr. Clayfield or Mr. Rovirosa, do you have any further questions?
I just want to make sure that it is for ag purposes, because if it's not, then I don't want to waive the fee.
Exactly. I don't disagree with ascertaining the appropriateness of waiving the fee. I don't have any evidence contrary, at least in what's presented in the package, Mr. Gamboa.
I believe on the maps that you see, those forward crossings are for agriculture use. And That's the reason for the request.
So I will note that from the imagery, in the imagery presented, there's no evidence of development where these are no longer being used for ag purposes and are now being used for residential access or some other purpose. Oh, thank you, Mr. Colbert.
The Chamberino WDWC, that fee will not be waived as well then? Because that's for a mutual domestic, right?
That's correct.
So what are we gonna do with that fee? Not waive it?
So is that part of these two permits? Yeah,
Those two are regular permits, and
Oh.
we are requesting a line fee from them.
Okay.
and we've acted on those. The only two items before us are
The black counts,
Black Calvin,
there's no
permits
red,
ending
huh?
029 and 030.
I move to accept the permits and waive the fees.
Thank you, Mr. Sloan. There I have a motion on the floor from Director Sloan to approve the two permits, including the waiver of fee, seconded by Director Stark. Discussion. Hearing none, discussion is closed. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opinion of the president, the ayes have it, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Gamboa.
Thank you.
That brings us to the HR and safety update. Mr. Smith.
You have the HR and Safety Department report in your packet. We are back up to 82 employees. We have hired quite a few in the past month, 2 ditch riders in the north, a welder here, a diesel mechanic is hired pending, hopefully he's starting on Monday. And then we have made an offer to a fleet mechanic. As you all are probably aware, we are advertised, well, it's closed now. We have a substantial number of applicants for the administrative assistant position. We'll be testing and interviewing those over the next 2 weeks and hopefully hiring somebody by the end of the month. Last month, we neglected to recognize years of service for 2 employees. And we're going to do that this month. We'll start with the first one. Leah Diaz, who is not here, unfortunately. She is out of the office currently. Leah has been with EBID for 20 years. So she will be receiving her 20 years of service coin. And she's in our finance department. I'm sure most of you know her. She has her hands on procurement and payroll and one of our finance department activities. So we appreciate her. And then Kurt Gieser was planning to be here with Armando. I told him to be here at 10 and it's 9:45. So that's the way things go. Kurt has been with the district for 10 years. He's an RTU Tech 2 in our SCADA department. He'll be receiving his 10-year point as well. He comes in, we'll let Mr. President recognize.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. I am grateful to all those who dedicate so many years of their lives to the service of our members at EBID. And I appreciate the opportunity to recognize them, Mr. Smith. We will be moving that item to immediately after the introduction of guests on our agenda, so that our hardworking employees know when to be here to be recognized, and also we can allow them to get back to serving the members of our district. Anything else on HR and safety, Mr. Smith?
We have one retirement, Guadalupe Lada from the south. Excuse me, is retiring as of April 17th. I believe he's been with the district over 25 years.
Yeah.
There they are.
Perfect timing.
Hello.
So.
Geeser.
Geeser.
Geeser?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Geeser,
Yes, sir.
we would like to recognize you today for 10 years of service to the irrigation district. I thank you for all the dedication that you give to our district in service of our members. And I would like to present you with this 10-year coin and this certificate of service.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let him go.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in and being recognized. I was going back to work.
Thank you,
Thank you. Anything else
That is
for
all I have
HR?
for the HR and safety.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Is there any other business? Hearing no other business, I will accept the motion to go into closed session for the agenda closed session items.
Move to go into closed session.
I have a motion from Mr. Roverosa, seconded by Mr. Garai, to go into closed session to discuss the agenda items. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being the president, the ayes have it, the motion passed unanimously. We are in closed session. Thank you all for coming today.
I move to come out of closed session.
Seconded by, I have a motion by Director Roverosa, seconded by Director Colquitt to come out of closed session. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being the president, the ayes have it, the motion passed unanimously. We are back in open session. I will note for the record that no items were discussed in closed session other than those mentioned in the motion, which was the agenda closed session items. We have one additional item of information. The Rio Grande Compact Commission will be meeting on April 25th. We will have EBID personnel that travel to Alamosa on April 24th. The designation of those individuals and the approval for travel will take place at the April 23rd board meeting. My expectation is that the traveling party will leave Las Cruces sometime between 6 and 7 a.m. on April 24th. That there will be meetings in the afternoon in Alamosa. There is a reception in the evening. There is generally a dinner with Reclamation and our sister district that night. The next morning is the meeting itself. When it's in Alamosa, EBID personnel usually leave sometime between 12 and 1 p.m. in order to make it back to Las Cruces at a reasonable hour. That is the expected travel schedule. We will have one night in Alamosa.
We'll be back the evening of the 25th.
That's the expectation, yes. Any other announcements? Any other business? Hearing none, I will accept the motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I have a motion from Director Garai, seconded by Director Roverosa. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Continue the president, the ayes have it, the motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned.
3:30, right?